This is Jed Disler, and welcome to The Piano Maven, your friendly podcast guide to piano recordings. When the 16-year-old André Watts made his debut with the New York Philharmonic on television in 1963, he must have inspired tons of young piano students all over America. Of course, he did develop into a very great and mature pianist and artist, as well as a mentor to the numerous pianists who came under his wing. As a teenager, he was quickly signed up by Columbia Masterworks, and he recorded for that label from 1963, when he was 16, up until 1980, when he was in his early 30s. By the mid-1980s, he had signed with EMI, for whom he recorded not all that much. There was a Beethoven Sonata disc, there was an All Chopin disc, there was a 1988 Carnegie Hall recital celebrating the 25th anniversary of his debut. There were 2 releases devoted to Liszt. And then for Telarc, he made several concerto discs. Generally, the momentum of his recording career in the 60s and early 70s never really picked up again. Like many pianists, André Watts tended to let go more in concert than he did in the recording studio, and he took more chances in front of an audience. And for this reason, I've always warmed much more to his live recordings than his studio recordings. I'm thinking about his 1980 Tokyo concerts on the Sony Classical label and that 1988 Carnegie Hall recording I mentioned a few sentences earlier. And I also mentioned the 2 CDs that André Watts recorded in the 80s for EMI devoted to music of Liszt. And these are very, very fine. But I must tell you that the same Liszt selections issued by the Hensler label in live performances from the 1986 Schwetzingen Festival are much better. For example, the Liszt Paganini etudes in these live performances are much more exciting and more scintillating and sharply accented in front of an audience. And there's more spontaneity and inflection throughout the 13th Hungarian Rhapsody and the Valse Oubliée No. 1. And while André Watts' EMI recording of the Liszt Sonata is very distinctive in many respects, I think this live 1986 performance plays up the music's emotional contrasts more fervently and dramatically. There's more abandon in the big octave sections, and there's more lightness in the central fuguetta, where the notes just sparkle and fly off the page. He's a little more careful in the studio. But also, I think that the sound in this 1986 Schwetzingen Festival broadcast tape is warmer, more natural, and easier on the ear, frankly, compared to the sometimes glassy quality of the EMI recordings. So if you want the best performed and best engineered representation of André Watts in Franz Liszt's solo piano music, definitely get hold of his 1986 Schwetzingen Festival recital issued by Hensler Classic. This is Jed Disler, and you've been listening to the Piano Maven podcast. Happy listening.